trying to make them understand. You're never gonna get a Turk or an Azeri to understand your point. So don't try to even do that. The ones that do, and I have seen some that do, you will know it from the beginning of the conversation because they will start the conversation differently than you whore. They will
Yeah.
start the conversation usually like, don't act like a fascist. Not all Turks are like this. Don't act like a fascist. Stop writing that. Not all Azeris are like this. This is how they'll start the conversation. Those are people that are maybe open to hearing your side. But if
Yeah.
they're starting the comment saying like, I'm gonna rape you and your whole family, that's usually not somebody that's gonna be like, you know what, I feel bad for what we did to you in 1915. I feel bad for what's going on in Armenia right now. Don't try to convince those people. Try to talk to the people that are kind of like, you see that there's a little dose
There's a
of
human.
empathy,
There's
there's
a
a human
human.
touch.
There's a human. Yeah.
Then yeah, I could say like I've had conversations with people, and I just retweeted today this Turk. I had posted like, because I'm a troll too, obviously, but like not a psycho one that threatens to rape them, just like a troll that I make fun of like
Fun
stupid
of,
things
yeah.
on Twitter, like just like fun stuff. So I had posted a video of this like Turkish chef that's like feeding something that looks like it's a penis to
Hey, I do
another.
that one. That's one of my favorite ones. I
Yeah,
think it's so mad with that one because they're like, so it basically looks like a dick, right?
yeah.
And he's gone. Finish it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you get too excited with this one. So he's feeding this other person that's like right in front of the plate, and then there's like this penis shaped like thing, and he's feeding him. And so I posted that and I wrote, oh, Gelirasker, this is a Turkish delight or whatever, a national Turkish dish. So this person under my comments, this Armenian wrote, um,
An
I think
Armenian.
an Armenian wrote, I think this is a part of the stomach, like the cow's stomach, actually. In my head, I was like, first of all, don't embarrass me and correct me. And
Yeah, like I don't care what it is.
yeah, like I'm trying to be funny, and now you're like kind of like making me look bad. No,
Yeah.
no, but I'm
Yeah, there's
like,
always a smartass. Like I know
yeah,
that
actually,
asshole.
that's the stomach. Actually,
Actually, that's actually the stomach.
that's the pancreas. Like,
Yeah.
so this Turk I just saw, because you notice that they're Turks because there's like the C with the thing underneath, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And he liked that comment that the Armenian girl wrote. So me, I'm like, oh fuck, a Turk found me again. Like now this is gonna go viral again. Like I was thinking this. So I go into that Turk's profile, and obviously everything is written in Turkish, and I could understand some words. And I'm reading and I'm just scrolling and I'm waiting to find like what we usually find on a Turkish profile, which is like a bunch of videos of Armenians dying or like are saying Armenians are stupid. But I'm not finding any of these things, and I'm just scrolling. I'm like, how the hell has this person not posted one thing with the word
Yeah.
Ermeni in it?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so finally, I get to the video where the old man, the poor old man that was getting like beaten up, and like um the one that we were posting all last week. And I saw this woman had tweeted this video, and this guy replied to her tweet, and saw he wrote like çok yazik çok, meant I wasn't sure. I kind of understood. I'm like, let me just Google translate it to make sure. But he wrote, basically, he retweeted his friend and wrote, this is a pity. Shame on you. This is sinful.
Mm.
So I liked his tweet, and then I went in his DMs.
Mm.
And I know that people are like, oh, trust no Turk, like don't think. But at the same time, I also want to understand where their heads are at, and especially someone like him, where he wrote that, where I saw an ounce of like humanity and an ounce of empathy. So I went in his DMs and I wrote hi, and he wrote hi back, and then I said, what it, I'm like, thank you for posting this. And then he's like, I'm so sorry for the rest of my people. We're not all like that. So I
Mm.
said, I know you're not all like that, but 95% of you are. And that's why when we write Turks or when we write Azeris, we're referencing to the violent ones, the ones that are Armenophobic. And then he was like, no, 95% of us are not like that. I would say maybe it's 60-40, but we're really trying to change that 60%. And then I said, well, first of all, before I continue this conversation, do you recognize the Armenian genocide?
That is my first question. I'm like, we
That
can't
is,
even have this
yeah,
conversation.
I don't want to continue with you if you're going to deny the genocide. It's like, bye.
But yeah.
So I'm like, do you recognize the Armenian genocide? So he was like, I know that a lot of Christians and Kurds and whatever were killed. So I know that. I know that you guys died of hunger. So I wrote back to him. I said, yes, we did die of hunger. We also died of rape. We also died of, I said, we died of hunger because we were being marched to our deaths in the desert and we were dying on our way. And he wrote, yeah, my mom told me something like that. And I said, okay. I said, well, please read up on it. I said, and I didn't want to just attack, because when you are talking to someone that's kind of open, you have to also kind of like win them with kindness too. So
Yeah.
I wrote to him, I said, I would suggest you to do your research and to see what actually happened, but I don't blame the Turks of today for what Talat Pasha did and what the Ottomans did. What I do blame is the Turks of today that deny it. That's what I blame you guys for. I don't blame you for the genocide. I blame you for denying it.
Right.
So that's when he was like, I understand what you mean. And then he looked at me and he said, you know, I'm reading at your tweets, Jessica, and you seem like a fascist. And then, to be honest, I go, I see why you could say that. Like, I see why you would think that. I said, but you have to understand that the pain and the trauma that we've been through in the last 105 years, it makes us feel like we can't trust any of you guys. And when most of you guys only show us hate, unfortunately, when we're talking about you guys, we could only talk in a negative manner because this is what we've seen from you guys. And I live in Canada, where I have engaged with Turks, and it's not like I live in Armenia and I've never seen a Turk in my life and I don't know what the conversation is like. I've went to school with Turks and we could have been fine together, but as soon as the genocide subject comes up and they would be in denial, that's where things would end for me. And that's where I would be like, I'm not continuing this conversation. So that's where I know that we can never be friends. So that's when this person went on to me to talk to me about Hrantik and how he was protesting for Hrantik, and he showed me pictures and all of that. And I told him, I said, well, good for you. And I reposted what he posted, and I wrote basically like, good for you. I wish all Turks were like you. And I reposted that. And I know by reposting that, probably a lot of Armenians on my Twitter are probably like, what the fuck? You're trusting a Turk or whatever. But at the same time, I wanted to give props to this person so that it could encourage him to continue being kind of a voice of reason in his own community. So, and then under my post, another Armenian girl commented and wrote something like, no, this guy, for every Turk that's good, there's a Turk that's bad. And she posted his friend's reply, like that guy's friend's reply. So that guy went back in my DMs and said, hey, tell your friend to take her post down with this guy. This guy is very evil. He's going to attack her. I know him personally. He's nuts. So this guy was kind of like trying to look out for us. And it puts us in such a weird position because a part of us is like, trust no Turk, but another part of us is like, they're not going anywhere, guys. So what we can do is call out the ones that are being evil and violent towards us. But if we find some that have an inch of sympathy, try to work with them to show them the right way and to show them that, yes, you have a dirty history, but you have the opportunity to correct it now. You have the opportunity to raise your kids right. You have the opportunity to educate them in the right way and change the world. Like, we have to be progressive in the way we think as well. And we can't also be hateful when we write stuff and we generalize a whole religion of people, which I see a lot of Armenians doing, which makes us lose a lot of friends and a lot of allies that were our allies, but because they see us as putting all Muslims in one bucket, even though it's not for all Muslims to respond to Turks and Azeris' actions. We're losing allies by doing that.
I agree. I think there's opportunities among people. Like, look, it's not about trusting. Like, you're not all of a sudden gonna be like, here's this gun while I turn my back on you, right? So
Yeah.
people are going, don't trust anyone. Like, there's a difference between trust and working with people. Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't have to like fully trust them. But
No.
however, if someone's willing to work with you and talk with you, and they can become a bridge, it's up to you to become shrewd and know how to use that bridge and how to
Yeah.
use that opportunity, that relationship to get what you need.
100%.
So it's not about like, oh, we're trusting, we're BFFs now. He's going to come over, we're going to have a sleepover together. No,
Absolutely not.
you
We're
know,
not going for a mani-pedi, that's for sure.
yeah, and there's plenty of Muslims out there that are great people. Plenty. I mean, the majority are, and
Yeah.
so we need to remember that. And within the Turkish community, if they're willing to talk with me, look, I don't block every Azeri and Turk that comes onto the page, even when they come and they agitate some of
Yeah.
my followers. But I mean by agitate those, like when they come and they're just arguing, like, and they're trying to like have a conversation, but
Yeah.
they're argumentative, I let it ride. I'm like, okay, let this conversation happen. Once I get a hint that they're being disrespectful, I just block them. And, I'm like, okay, you can't interact with my people anymore,
Yeah.
But I watch the arguments. I watch the conversations. I stay out of it, but I watch them. I'm paying attention to what they're saying,
Absolutely.
and I let them carry on, because I think that dialogue needs to happen. So if they're willing to listen and have a conversation, and I've publicly said this to them too, back in the beginnings, I made a post and said, hey, if you're a Azeri, I'll let you on my page. I'll let you communicate. I'll let you do all that. I won't block you, but the minute you get disrespectful, you're blocked.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, a lot of comments, like, I get a lot of comments under my pictures or whatever, like Azeri flags or like, comments. And honestly, if they're just posting flags or if they're just like writing something stupid, I leave the comment. I don't even when people write hateful comments, like in my comments, I leave them because I want people to see what they're commenting, and I don't want everybody to be blocked, and I don't want to censor everybody. It's when it's when they're threatening and when they're getting violent. Obviously, that's a whole other issue, but don't censor people. Let people see who they are, and when they comment, like the other day I posted under one of the travel pages, I had commented, and this Turk responded to me basically telling me that they're going to continue the genocide. 1.5 million is a rookie number. We have to like get that higher, whatever.
Yep, I posted that. Yeah,
that number. Yeah. So I left that comment, and I wanted people to see that, because I want, when the non-Armenians go into that page and they're looking through those comments, that they see that was a reply to my comment. And so sometimes not censoring them actually works to our benefit. And
yeah,
that's where we have to be careful too, guys. Like, when you are going and writing comments, always make sure that you're writing it in a smart way. It could be witty, it could be to the point, but never to the point where it's like nasty and disgusting, because like we don't want to paint ourselves in that light. Like, we don't want people to see us like that, because that just takes us like 10 steps back. So
exactly. Especially when you make blanket like I saw like a bunch of comments in here that could be very problematic. If someone took a screenshot and then shared it, it'll make us all look bad, or think of it this way. Like, I know most of us own businesses, but there's some that still work at a company. What if what you just said was screen captured and sent to your boss? You have to think about that too. Like, I saw a couple of comments about, all Muslims do this. It's like, no, they don't. That's a problematic comment to make. And if that's screenshot and shared, now the rest of us have to try to argue that or defend that statement. So you have to be careful on what you're saying, because ultimately they can do the same thing, whereas they screen cap and use it right back at us.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you don't know how to engage them, just ignore them. Straight up.
Ignore them. Yeah. And be careful when you're posting. Like, I know sometimes we get heated, especially when we see they're vandalizing our churches and our